confident, but we were scared that we could lose, and winning so clearly, 2-0 being better than they were. I think that made us realize we're a good team and that we have a lot of potential and we can be even better.
We didn't expect to qualify. We have a sub and we have a new support player. I mean, it's amazing.
We won a fight and we saved, 4 of us saved back, and then Nona was like, no, go, fight.
After these guys started listening to my calls, because we would actually get there.
But it's okay, we've qualified.
Very qualified.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm FLICKR supporter, and I'll be your host for the next 10 weeks as we kick off the League of Legends Championship Series live in HD from here in Cologne, Germany. We're honored to have all of you tuning in from around the world and are just as excited as you are to get Season 3 underway here in Europe. It's been a long road getting here for each of our European teams. You followed them through qualifying, and now it gets even more intense as they battle it out each Saturday and Sunday for a shot at fame, fortune, and esports immortality, the coveted Summoners Cup. So, are you guys ready? Analyst,
well
show some love.
Yeah, we're gonna cut her off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, don't tell me you're already crying.
I didn't think I was going to, but yeah.
Oh, Trevor. Yeah, you might be wondering what's going on. It's not April Fool's. It was just us looking back because a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, it's been 3,662 days since the first EULCS broadcast in 2013 went live. That is over 10 years, and we celebrated that, I think, about 2 weeks ago.
It's
right?
unbelievable. I mean, I intentionally didn't watch the video during rehearsal. I didn't think that I was going to tear up, but it's been a hell of a journey. I mean, just for me personally, I love esports, I love video games, found a lucky job, and it's now defined my life. But you see, you look back, the stage, the graphics, the music, it's incredible to see how everything's developed.
It's crazy. I like that you said that because we all rolled into it because we loved esports, and I think that went for a lot of the production as well. I think many of the fans as well, the first generation fans who were just like, okay, I'm with you on this wild ride, and they never look back.
Do you have the same thing? Do you still have some fans that have been talking to you literally for a decade? I've got 3 or 4 people in my Instagram DMs that have been chatting to me and been watching since 2013. We have some people on production team there. I mean, you and I have been there for every single show. It's been wild.
It's incredible. But we don't want to, we do want to look back a little because I think it's important to see the road that we've traveled to get here, right? And the cool thing about it is that we have seen it evolve so much over those 10 years. A production team that has stayed on the ball, and it wasn't always sunny, but especially with the reinvention of the LEC, I think it's all kind of come full circle, and we're reaping the rewards of that now, and I hope our fans are as well.
The thing that's amazing is that the team, the industry, the show, the game, absolutely everything keeps growing and developing. I mean, look at the segments that we've done over the years. I think the DNA of the LEC was always there, but with
each slap on the ass. Oh, can I say that?
I definitely got into a little bit of trouble for that one, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I miss Shoxing around. That was so fun.
Me too. Why did we cancel it? Like,
we have to bring it back. We have to bring it back. The thing is, like you said, for the entire development and the last 10 years, with each passing year, we get more experience, we get smarter, we get more creative, and we also find ways to create content, to create things both for our fans, but also for ourselves, because everybody here loves it, we love the game, and we love what we do.
And this is just a way of us to say thank you to everyone. If you weren't there from the start, if you joined in the middle of the journey, or even just this year as well, thank you so much as we enter our 11th year of European League of Legends. On behalf of all of us here at the LEC, thank you for watching and being here on the journey with all of us.
definitely still a mess. But welcome back to the LEC 2023 winter season. There are only 2 weeks left in the split, and I'm here to quickly run you through the stakes and a reminder of how the format will play out for the last 6 remaining match days. We're running corner in the group stage today, meaning today and tomorrow we'll close off groups, and on Monday we will start playoffs. That's correct. Playoffs will start on Monday for the winter split. So today, both BO3s are in the lower brackets. We're going to be taking a look at Team Heretics versus SK, followed by Astralis versus BDS. Lose and your season is done. We'll see you in spring. Win, you play again tomorrow. I want to run through the bracket and show you some examples of how this can play out. Before I do though, just a reminder that playoffs BO5 between Koi and G2 will start on Monday. Okay, right, so let's take a look. When I take a look at the bracket today, I'm already expecting, you can see with Vitality beating Heretics, Koi beating SK, we've got the first one for groups. I think that today, SK are most likely to take down Heretics, and I think BDS will take down Astralis. They'll set us up for our Sunday matches, where Vitality should beat SK, Mad Lions should beat BDS. That'll give us our playoff teams. What you will notice, the teams that win tomorrow will advance to the lower bracket of playoffs next Friday. I'll come back to that in a moment. I'm going to quickly run the bracket and give my predictions. G2 will beat Koi, Vitality will beat Mad, Koi will beat Vitality, and Koi will beat G2. That is my prediction. There's no movement on that one. The winner will go through to MSI, as well as being crowned the Winter Split Champion. Please don't forget that, as I mentioned, playoffs will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. So now that everything's set, back to you, Sharks and analysts.
I'm just shocked that you just gave us your prediction and it was like, not even any explanation, just like, this is what's going to happen. Let's see. Also, welcome to the desk, Jamada and Goldberg, some of the newer faces to the LEC, and we're so happy to have you here. Any reaction to that very frank prediction?
You know what? Honestly, thumbs up, Trevor. Just saying it how it is. I can get behind it, honestly. And I'm in the same line of thought, so I'm down for it.
Okay.
I think I can make small tweaks, but I think it's pretty aligned with what I would say myself. Obviously, the games haven't been as clean as cookie cutter, but I think for sure that could have been a stable prediction.
Still, let's open up the floor then, because if this is how it's play out, I think that we wouldn't see any upsets. But is there an opportunity for a Vitality or a Mad to get upset? And who would be it?
See, I could definitely see Vitality be a team that got upset. I wasn't really impressed with how they played up against Koi as well. And I think specifically in the bot lane, where if SK wins today, they're so insanely strong with Exeking and DOS, and they would have to go up against Neon and Kaiser. I could definitely see an avenue where they would make it incredibly close.
Yeah, I feel like, to me, SK have a really solid shot, maybe at taking down Vitality if they're as shaky as they were last weekend. However, on the opposite side of the bracket, or the next side of the bracket, I suppose, to me, I feel like the BDS Astralis match looks a lot more set in stone. I really don't see too many ways how Astralis are going to end up really giving anything to BDS unless they turn into like 2015 SKT Prime. But I'm not saying BDS are that good, but what I'm saying is it's going to be a mountain to climb in my mind for Astralis. But we'll have to see. I feel like they still have the likes of Finn up in the top side to try and match up to Adam, so it's not like it's completely out of their depth, but it's still very hard.
I gather, in terms of the question of upsetting and getting into the playoffs, you think they have a chance to get further, but that's a bridge too far?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Let me just add some things here.
Paint a picture for us.
Okay. SK in regular season, they have the potential once again to play against Vitality. In regular season, SK won.
Yeah.
Okay. BDS in regular season, when they played against Mad Lions, who do you think won?
Tell me, cool.
BDS won as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, there is a picture where some of them in the past were obviously the kind of team that came in as underdogs and they overcome it. This is best of 3 now, so we've seen it go to the stages as well. And I'll be real as well and say, even Mad Lions didn't look as convincing versus Astralis. So I think there's for sure room to go the mile in terms of competitivity.
Maybe there is a chance. We've seen good things out of BDS. I think Adam is someone we have to talk about in terms of, also what he said openly about, I want to kind of rehabilitate my image. I want to show that I want this, that I want to go for it. And I think that's shown tremendously in the games he's played with BDS.
You can see it in the stats alone. He's really stepped up this year. And I feel like Adam has kind of had this stigma in terms of his gameplay around him always being a little bit too over-aggressive. But I feel like this year, the pairing coming back from Academy with Shio has really kind of allowed him to flourish. And also, I feel like the bottom side has facilitated a lot of that gameplay as well.
See, that's where I'm really finding it. I love the bot lanes, okay? And I gotta say, when me watching Crownie and Laprov, I've only been impressed by them. I think Crownie is legit a top 3 AD carry in the league. I think his mechanics has been on point, but even further so, his understanding of the first waves in the game right now is so high, and I really think that defines how the bot lane meta currently flourishes. So I could definitely see them try and stand up to the likes of Kasi and Hilly if they would go up against them.
That's what I want to hear. Some dreams so that we don't just end up with, you know, a bracket that we could have auto-completed ourselves. So hopefully our teams step up. But let's also talk about the meta and a few picks we either have already seen or are excited about and want to see. And I spy with my little eye, Lilia.
Yeah, little deer, little Bambi. I think...
Please no.
No, please no. Well, hopefully it doesn't end like Bambi for the next Lilia picks, but I am hoping that we get to see a little bit more Lilia, not just out of Yike, and G2, of course, has been kind of pioneering the pick here in the LEC, but I feel like it fits really, really well for a lot of the meta that we're starting to see develop in the mid lane with some of these AD mids coming in, but also specifically as a counter to Sejuani, which has kind of just been a first pick regardless of what's actually up.
And that's the thing for me, right? Because how many comments have we seen where, oh, the meta is so stale, we keep seeing the same champions? And yes, we would have, because Maokai and Sejuani were first pick worthy. Then people start to actually get the theory crafting going, and then the ingenuity of Yike shows. Lilia, great into Sejuani if you want to pick that. And it's just the fact that you have a patch where the meta can be ever evolving if the thought process is put into it. I think that was awesome to see with the Lilia.
Explain it to me like I'm 5. Why do I pick Lilia into Sejuani?
Well, you pretty much have true damage also on your Q as well to go through. That's super good into Sejuani. You have fast clears as well in a meta where junglers really like to put a lot of emphasis into the gank style. So if you can get through your first clear as well without enemy jungler getting any priority in terms of getting a good gank on a lane, then all of a sudden when you start rolling into the first items, you're just going to be higher level, you're going to be easier to play around, and it's just, you're so fast, so hard to lock down.
You got me. I think everyone should pick it. Next up, in the bot lane, is there anything you want to see?
See, I've been theory crafting a lot as well myself, okay? And I've seen a lot of double range bot lane. We've all seen the AD carries in the support role as well. The thing that's really good at shutting this down has been kill lanes. We've seen G2 do it with the Handsummer Draven and the Nautilus as well. My proposal is Samira. It's specifically ever since AD carry items got buffed in terms of the IE changes, coming through with a kill lane when you see a double range bot lane, I think could really work out. Nautilus, Rel, just throw yourself at them in the early levels and don't let them take priority. That could be an avenue for you to get ahead.
Yeah, what Gorborg's basically saying is just bloody send it. Just go 2v2, go for the kill lane. And never really allow these scaling enchanter picks, or the double AD carry picks for that matter, get to play their game and actually get to a point where they can be super obnoxious on the map. And that Samira sort of aggressive support lane really works because, as well, that mid-game spike to shut down what those picks typically want to do is so potent now with the item changes.
Now, I will say we've only seen one in a top league we played so far, and it lost. So this is my kind of theory crafting going out there. But if you see it, you know I said it here.
I know. I'll remember that you said it. Let's talk about Ziggs as well. Seen it already in the LPL and the LCK?
It's my new neck of the woods, the LPL. Specifically Thunder Talk Gaming and Huang Fang, and then, of course, a little bit of Jackie Love as well.
Oh, yeah.
Pulling it out. And honestly, I feel like it fits the meta really well because we're in a meta where, you know, we're getting a lot of AP junglers and a lot of AD mids and melee mids as well. And Ziggs flourishes into a lot of these champions that are quite bulky and lack a lot of mobility. And in terms of the actual matchups on the bottom side, he deals pretty much very handedly with every meta pick right now. It's more about the support matchups and actually setting up for his damage so that he can either A, blow up the enemy AD carry, or B, just sit there and wave clear until the team actually needs to play off of it.
Yeah, I've actually been playing this lane a lot with Orcs as well, formerly off the LPL, and we try to play this like decent high-elo, D2, D1, whatever. But like, it works really well. Okay, thank you. I'm a humble guy. D2,
no, you're
D1.
not, so this is...
Never give him a break.
To get back to the point, okay? To get back to the point, everyone. It's a lane that's super fun to play because usually if you played with a hook champion, well, then enemy wants to stand behind waves on their range minions. But when you play into a Six, he's going to throw his bombs on the range minion, and then you just get free trades every single time. He's also very self-sufficient in terms of wave clearing when he gets his first item, and that lets you finally roam out on the map and have a support difference, which is something we haven't seen all too much when it's range bot lanes that's usually all about tearing down the turrets. But even then, you can play that way with his W charge, so it's so good.
I'm sold on all of them. And from interesting bot lane picks to today's bot lane matchup, Laura and Jamada will run you through Exakick and Jack Spector's journey through the ER Isles.
Exactly, and Jack Spectra is someone I'm very familiar with. I've kind of been watching him since his debut all the way back in 2020 in the UKLC, where I was competing against him technically on a coaching staff in that league. And then I got to watch him as an analyst through those first 2 years in my home region, our home region, I suppose, where he had his ups and downs. But I think one thing you could always say was he had the support of the fans, and you could very clearly see that he had very high ceilings and a lot of prospects around him.
Well, I was not lucky enough to play against Exeki, but I was lucky enough to cast his games, and this kid basically popped out of nowhere. He was a high school student, passionate about League, and 3 years later, he's one of the best AD carries we have in the LFL. And what I found interesting about him is that from the very first games we saw from him, we could see the potential. We knew that he needed some time to grow, but we knew that he was going to become one of the best ADCs we could have in France and maybe in the LEC later. But some inconsistencies, maybe some key champion he was relying a bit too much on, but 3 years later, EU Masters, we thought that this was it for a DLC until you guys arrived.
Exactly. Jack Spectra on the Team Heretics team from the Superliga throughout 2022 had a bit of an up and down spring. I think, you know, we had a bit of a rerun in Spain like we had here in the LEC, where it was 8-10, 9-9, and they barely missed out on playoffs with that late sort of dip in form. But summer was where it was all at for Team Heretics, and despite a lot of the critics around the team, they won the championship in Spain. They left Spain the champions, moving into the European Masters, where they eventually and inevitably came to meet LDLC in the semi-finals, again, whilst being the underdogs.
I know, and Heretics beat the 3 LFL teams we had back then, but I think it's similar to Exokick in the sense that this kid showed up in the LFL, aspiring to be in the LEC, wanted to take down every bot lane legend that we know from. Taking down Reckless in the LFL, taking down Hansama this year in the LEC, Comp also from Car, as we see here. So I'm just wondering, how is the matchup gonna be tonight, and what can your kid do against mine?
Well, we've seen my kid against yours, and it went pretty one-sidedly, I should say, in that semi-final. 3-1 was the score. Technically, Exekit got his own back in the regular split, so they are 3-2 right now. However, today, that could all change.
It's a different story today, and we'll see who has the upper hand on this. But while Exokick is still a rookie, Markun took the step from being the newcomer to the veteran of the team, and we got to talk to him about this transition.
I had this confidence in the ERLs, and I wanted to try and make sure that I wasn't gonna play scared on stage. I played against G2, which was pretty scary coming in, right? The Titans of G2, and I'm playing there my first little game, coming into the middle of the split in a losing team.
But now Cap's gonna be in trouble. He's gonna steal the ultimate. He can't leap out Odin to safety, but he goes over the wall and he just gets followed. Another happy B from Markun. He's feeling good.
Well, I was ready to completely end myself if I at least made sure that I would play with confidence. And I mean, it worked out. We won the first game, and then I felt pretty good afterwards, which helped a lot in the upcoming games, right?
It has taken 1,142 days, and on the 7th time of trying, XL will make playoffs.
I think Mark has kind of adopted like this pseudo leadership role in the team, right? It's kind of like him and Certus that kind of balance, like, I think the emotional core of it. I think Certus kind of like sets the vibe for the game, and Mark kind of like leads the team.
Guys, listen. You know what the cool thing is about playing against G2? You can run it down. People will not flame you.
That's true, though. That's true.
If you run it down against him, people will not say, oh my god, he's so bad. They will say G2 is the goat.
He might be my topside jungle, where this guy's playing.
Yeah, they're playing really passive.
Yeah, no
on bot almost.
Can we pressure a dive on bot then?
Yeah.
I think as a leader, you need to be calm. You need to always keep you cool. And then you can actually like make your teammates also go towards calm.
Look.
Oh, okay.
Guys, we're basing here soon.
You wanna base?
Yes,
but we have really good items.
No, we're basing.
When you think of Markun last year with XL, we know that when he didn't manage to find opportunities, this is when XL wouldn't succeed. So I'm really interested in seeing how he can do this year with these players.
He doesn't have cleanse, Hansama. That is not your bush. What are you doing? Knockup connecting on the BB, not a big deal. Caps to the backside, gonna get pushed out, gonna get one shot. That damage was disgusting. Moving back into the camp, flashing out to safety. Markun just gonna run him down on an absolute tear here in the early game. 2 games back to back. we go. Marcoon caught out. This could be big. Surge just waiting off to the side. It's a big stun. Is it enough to keep the fight going? Irrelevant still has flash. Irrelevant. Maybe he can leap his way into the backline. Exit kick untouched. It's huge! SK, they took down G2 yesterday, and they're on the path to take down Vitality right here.
I didn't know if it would happen in the winter split already, but I knew we had a lot of potential in the players that we had. Like, for me, it was more, are we going to be able to show this potential already early? I thought maybe we need some more time to adjust to the stage and this kind of stuff, but I had it in the back of the mind that it might happen, that we start winning early, yeah.
This roster doesn't have that veterancy really there to lead them, but for Marcoon to step up, to see the way Exakick and DOS have, I mean, put on a show coming into the LEC, this is a team that's not only worth watching now, but for years to come.
We haven't achieved too much, right? We actually only achieved top 8. If we lose 2 best of 3s now, we're just 7th, 8th, which last split I would have considered like a failure. So I think we need to shut up the haters a little bit more.
Looking towards what else they can achieve, and I think that's a beautiful sentiment. Wonderful content piece, by the way, and a great introduction to setting up SK Gaming versus Team Heretics in our lower bracket. They were third, actually, in the regular season in winter. That's phenomenal, I think. It was shared with G2, but I think overall they can be super proud of what they did already, and that makes me think, is there more in the tank? There should be.
Yeah, and I think how much more is in the tank is dependent on which SK sort of shows up today, because week 1, SK could have been the worst team in our league.
Oh, yeah.
Week 2, they could have been our best, and week 3, they got some wins, but it was not quite as strong. So I think this team has had its ups and downs. It's been a bit of a roller coaster throughout the split, but in this sprint that is winter split, you have to show up here at the end.
Winter sprint.
Yeah, and I honestly think, to me, with the kind of thought process I have about this team and expectations of this team, I am expecting them to go further as well. I actually agree with Marcoon's own sentiment. It'd be a little failure with how they started that they're not really going further doing the job.
Okay, as a reminder though, Team Heretics announced yesterday that Ruby tested positive for COVID-19, which means the series will be played remotely from their team houses for competitive integrity. We wish Ruby a speedy recovery and hopefully good to play in this best of 3. When it comes to Team Heretics versus SK, there's a callback we need to make because something fishy happened. Something Hextech-gated happened when they played in week 1.
Yeah, all the way back in week 1, this is SK down 0-2, a very back and forth game between the teams, but Heretics decided to sort of shake hands and go for this base race, realizing way too late that against a Baron buff, you're just going to lose this, and it ends up throwing the entire game.
And then normally here, resets are coming through from Team Heretics. SK's looking like, you know what, they got what they came for as well. They're going to go for a reset. And then you just kind of forget about the fact that these Hextech Gate is still around. You can already see them coming out on the indicators, and it's just a slaughterhouse.
It feels bad, man.
It does feel bad. But in a way, maybe this propelled SK forward because, as you said, they were 0-2 and then they went on to do great things. So they're going to say thank you to Team Heretics. But we are, of course, looking at 2 very different teams. To just set the stage, Goldberg, for Team Heretics, how much have they lived up to your expectations or maybe not?
I actually think this is what I expected from this team. In my head, they were like, all right, this is a kind of developmental team that's going to take some time to come together. You have 3 different languages coming together, a system that needs to be developed. They are managed by Peter Dunn as well, so I feel like that gave me a lot of trust, but it was also just the fact that they are finally coming together and building their identity, but I just think in terms of actually being consistent with it, it's not always there for them.
I do think for Team Heretics, a large part of their identity is going to be playing through bot side, right? When you consider, like, you have Ebby on the top side, very strong, self-sufficient top laner, mid lane, passive, a little bit more, playing for the scaling team fights, but when it comes to the bot lane matchup, SK's duo lane is also always looking to fight you.
Yeah, honestly, DOS and Exakick has been absolutely phenomenal, and they've been styling on multiple laners already here in our league, and they've been insane on Delusion, they've been insane on the Draven as well. There's just so much consistency coming from the bot lane, and I love the fact that they're willing to create plays. In my opinion, this is going to be a huge impact in today's matchup because Jack Spectra, I agree with you, I think Team Heretics needs to adapt a bot lane kind of centric style, but they're going up against one of the best teams to do it in our regular season.
Yeah, because when we look at how Jack Spectra has been kind of, or the duo lane has been attacking the matches, not necessarily out of laning prowess, right? A little bit of scaling, a little bit of damage later on in the game. Could that be a mismatch for them in this matchup?
I think that even with scaling elements, bot lane, the ability to snowball out of bot lane, even when you have like a more like scaling pick like Azir, you can still find kills in the bot lane matchup. Like I'm all with Goldborg that like the first 3 waves can like make or break your laning phase. And if both sides come out safe in those first 3 waves, that's all of a sudden when you have like more of the, okay, you have scaling conversation that comes
I was more looking at the fact that the lanes have not been going that well.
Yeah,
Jack
and
Spectre.
I agree. So to take you up, like the best we've seen from Jack Spectre outside of his Draven game, outside of that, because that was win lane, win game, was the Seri. And that was when we got into the team fights later in the mid to late game. And I agree, that could be something to rely on. The problem I have with that is that I don't think that DOS and Exakick will let you play that style without you losing too much. I think you need to match it. And for me specifically, there's a lot of pressure on Team Reddick's side on Mercer. On the range supports, he's not been looking too comfortable, right? I think the best we've seen from Mercer this time around when he was on Nautilus against Team Vitality. Last year at Summer when he was on Misfits, when he was playing the Amumi, when he was able to win the lane. Amumu, sorry.
That's the cutest thing ever, sorry.
Amumu, when he was able to win the lane and then start impacting the map. That's where I really see a lot of the good things come out from Team Reddick's. And I would love to see them, to quote Jamana, fully send it in bot lane today.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for Team Heretics, it seems like they are more successful when they're sort of playing through the lanes on their own. When it comes to them taking a lot of these early team fights around objectives, that's where they've actually really struggled through the regular season, leading the league in terms of early deaths before 14 minutes because of a lot of the fights they take. And they're not trading it for a lot of kills on the opposite side. That's been a little bit weak. So I agree, when they have played strictly through bot lane or when Mercer has roamed around and looked for picks in both top and mid lane, that's where they have been able to find much more success than playing for the early team fights.
It's so difficult.
Oh, yeah, it is indeed. Sorry, I wanted to also talk about the jungle, which I know that you guys were keen on. Of course, Markoon versus Jankos. Jankos, who has been really great, very consistent, right, in that jungle role, but then also together with our mid laners, Ruby respectively, and Certus. What do you think?
I think a lot of today is going to come down to the jungle matchup as well. I would love to praise Jankos even more. I think his early jungle pathing has been absolutely phenomenal. Yes, a lot of people will look back at the series against Vitality, where he went for over-aggression and died, kind of hinted it a bit on the Vi. But his early game has been so phenomenal. And I think going up against Markoon today, that's going to be a lot of pressure in the early game matchup between these two in terms of who can influence that bot lane as well. I don't think top lane matters too much. And I also think in terms of what mid laner will have the priority here is going to help enable their jungler even further.
Yeah, I would say that for Jankos, his biggest strength is knowing like the timing windows in which he can look for a gank. You'll see a lot of times like camps will be respawning and he'll deliberately walk past them because he knows bot lane wave is crashing in this moment. This is when they're meeting up. Bot lane's getting back to lane. These types of things, everything he's thinking about. So he's always finding really good windows to look for ganks and to come away with kills. But I think when you do look at like the mid jungle 2 versus 2 and the champions that are played, Ruby almost exclusively plays a lot of these scaling mid lane team fight mages, which makes it much harder for Heretics to play around the mid lane.
Yeah, and I also just think in general, like last year, Certus was so good on the Akali and the Sylas. That's when he performed the most. And when I saw him on SC, I thought to myself, okay, we can go next. But when I'm seeing that now instead, and I see his Asir, I saw him play against Caps. Caps was pinned on the turret, and that's where they kept going bot afterwards and just won against G2. I think Certus has become way more flexible. I think in terms of the 2v2 in the mid lane, from what we've seen from SK, we've seen more. But once again, I think Team Heretics, they also have a certain clutch factor with Jankos, and I'm looking towards him to be the hero of Team Heretics today to kind of help his team and specifically the laners.
So they're going to need that kind of superhuman clutch factor, you think, in order to make this competitive?
I think that could be a factor. I also think the Cinder we saw from Ruby looked really good at the tail end of their series, even in a loss, which is something I'd love to see come back. But for me, this game could go one of two ways. One is both mid laners go, Search is like, okay, you play the Azir, I'll play, another mage alongside the Victor or something like this. And we just play a little bit more scaling with bot lane, more isolated. Junglers will still go there, but mid laners maybe not quite as involved. Or it's all the onus is on Certus to be, I'm locking in the Talia, I'm locking in the Akali or the Sylas, something that wants to move around the river and look for early fights. And that's where I am concerned for Heretics.
Yeah, and I also think that's where the kind of flexibility stops with Team Heretics, because you know kind of what to expect from Ruby with what we've seen so far. Either today he continues down that path, or we see him evolve and try and go for the same, or the flexibility element stays with SK, where they can match control mage or they can go for kill lane.
Quick reminder, both top laners led the league in terms of solo kills during the best of one. 7 for Relevant, 6 for Abby. So it's not all about top lane, but there's going to be some bloodshed.
There is going to be some bloodshed. And from now on, it's do or die for the teams in the lower bracket. It's time to kick off the final phase of the LEC 2023 Winter Group Stage.
I'm not gonna lie, SK has surprised me. They have surprised a lot of people, and especially Exakick, like he's doing pretty well.
Mercer and Jack Spectre step into the fray. Exakicks, Matt Mills, the bailout! He manages to stay alive and escape. A double kill for SK.
Me and Exakick's journey have been pretty similar, so I'd have a lot of fun playing versus him.
As long as we control the scaling and they don't have Yuumi anymore, it should be fine.
If we match them and we don't make any mistakes, then I think in the end my bot lane will be the one that wins.
BDS is an interesting team for sure. They kind of came out of nowhere and started playing really well. I think they rely a lot on their strong laning.
Tower for the solo kill, trying to finish off Robo.
If they give me their trust, I have to carry somehow. I cannot like break their trust they're giving me.
His champs aren't really blindable, and I think if you can force him in draft to pick it in uncomfortable situations, then I think you can end up in really good scenarios for you.
You kind of need to hold that counter pick for topside, otherwise Adam just gets to run away with the game as he does.
BDS could be quite a difficult opponent. I'm especially scared of Adam because I think he's having a really great split.
Our last chance after losing to Mad. We have one more try now, and we have to make the most out of it.
If you play against Astralis, I'm pretty confident because I kind of know how they like to play.
The game against Vitality was pretty close. That's why it's a bit frustrating. We had a lead and we threw it, and we have a lot to take from it.
They're not a bad opponent to play against, but we already beat them.
In our next series, if we lose, we drop out, so I think that's enough.
I think a lot of bot lanes are going to have to like reinvent themselves again into next week because it's a new patch, so I think SK is one of them.
Tom is just doing so much. Look at him, just lasering people down. They can't prioritize him, and Comp just shreds through Vitality.
The last time we played them, they were not doing anything.
Hansama still surviving, Hansama still surviving, Hansama is still alive!
Right now we are back of where we left last year in summer.
They're back, and it's gonna be amazing to play them.
Mad stand strong, Mad refused to go down, they will find the kill, and Mad take the fight.
On the line, we have not making it to playoffs, which would definitely suck, and that's the most important part.
Neon's AoE was doing work, but it's just not enough. Double kill for the series!
We actually got quite outclassed on bot lane, which I can only blame myself for, right? Heading into the next week, I'm gonna make sure that this doesn't happen again.
With no more last chances, the winter season is drawing to an end. Who will fall and who will rise? The group stage finale is here.